Things are not looking too good for Ubisoft because their next major release, Star Wars Outlaws, is pretty much getting roasted anytime it shows up on social media. Right now, we got this video that was released a couple days ago from IGN, and you can see it has 2.9k likes to 15k dislikes. And this is pretty much indicative with every other promotional video that's been put out about this game. But now we're starting to get some clips coming out from journalists doing playthroughs of actual gameplay of this, and it's basically just getting mocked as well. We got this article from that part place, which is just kind of compiling some of the videos that people have actually shown of this game. As Star Wars Outlaws gets closer to release, more clips have surfaced showing just how bad the game's combat AI and NPC functions are. Ex-user Manga Lawyer shared a clip that shows at least one NPC turning its back on the player character, K. Voss, and running in circles instead of just wasting the player character. Another runs into the player character instead of shooting her. When it does decide to shoot, it misses her despite her standing just a few feet away. Okay, so let's take a look at this one here. Yeah. This definitely looks like a kind of a broken AI for the game like that when they're just kind of here. Let's play that again just to get a better look at it. Yeah. And this is something that people have been criticizing when they made that release that last video last week that was some gameplay footage. A lot of people were saying it looks like it's completely unpolished. They're trying to defend it by saying like, oh, you're just watching at a lower resolution, but that's not what people are complaining about. They were just saying it just looked like it was cheap or there was stuff wrong with it outside of the animation. The animation, or not the animation, the gameplay itself, the graphics don't look fantastic. It just looks kind of, meh, but whatever, it is what it is. To me, I can play a game that has less than stellar graphics as long as everything else is pretty good. And this just seems like it's something that needs a bit more work. It was even so bad, there was so much pushback. Ubisoft had to come out and say like, no, we're not delaying it to fix anything. You're going to get what you're going to get. And I think they're hoping enough people will buy it, then they can maybe fix stuff in a patch later on. But I mean, then again, if people already bought the game, then there's no incentive for Ubisoft to actually fix it. Then there was this one right here. I made a GIF of Stormtroopers AI just firing into a wall. I love this one because they literally are just kind of standing at the wall like a firing squad shooting into it. And if I'm going to be fair though, this kind of buggy AI isn't necessarily unique to this. We've seen this in a lot of other games in the past, but still, it is not a good sign when this game's about to be released and there's all these buggy videos that are coming out concerning it. This tweet right here, I've never been so immersed in a takedown experience as I was with Star Wars Outlaws. IGN 10 out of 10, too much empowered women experience. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, I saw this one going around on Twitter where she just backhands a stormtrooper in his helmet as a scripted takedown. And if you're going to do that without any protection on your hand, you'll get ready to break all the knuckles in your hand. I don't know why. And what's the point of that helmet if it won't even withstand a mild slap like that? What I liked about this article, though, is they included this video of this medieval type tournament going on, in which I think this would actually be pretty awesome to go see myself. I've even seen videos of people doing modern day jousting, which just looks incredible. But take a look here. I'll fast forward to the end of it where they're showing these two guys fighting in medieval armor with pole axes, but look at how they can actually just like hit each other in the head. And it's like, oh yeah, it can knock you down, but it's not going to necessarily knock you out because, helmets are designed to prevent that from actually happening. So the idea that a small girl can just backhand a guy with a helmet and knock him out just seems kind of ridiculous. But you know what? It's a video game. There's lots of ridiculous pre-scripted takedowns in games in the past, but I think they should have done something a little bit different with this game. Maybe they could have enhance it a little bit where it's like if it's an enemy with a helmet, it does a different type of takedown, or maybe a takedown doesn't work on an enemy with a helmet because you can't hit him in the head, or you have to use a particular item or have some type of weapon in order to do instant takedowns on enemies with helmets, something like that. I'm not saying all games need to be that detailed, but it would be kind of nice if they went through the extra effort to include situations like that in order to help with the immersion, or at least I think that would help with the immersion as opposed to just having a little girl backhand a guy with the helmet and knock him out. Star Wars Outlaws makes me feel like I'm in an episode of Andor. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. That's another thing I didn't like because I saw this in the other video. about this, where I think it's just kind of a contextual thing where you set it to, or you push something to take cover behind a box. Okay, fine. Lots of games do that. But look how far away she is when she's starting to go into cover, and it just does this huge slide like that. It's looks ridiculous. And then there's this bit right here where the Stormtroopers just kind of run by. None of them have peripheral vision, but maybe that's just because of the helmets. I don't know what the vision would be like inside those helmets, but maybe it's just narrowing their field of view so they can only see what's directly in front of them. I mean, it's worse than the cone field of vision that we saw in the Metal Gear Solid games, but whatever, it is what it is. And then the pre-scripted takedown. All right, let's continue on. Got to play Star Wars Outlaws for 4 hours. I didn't crash the speeder nearly as many times as expected. Huge thanks to Ubisoft for the opportunity to play Star Wars Outlaws early. Okay, so let's take a look at this.
This thing has some kick.
Takes the speeder out. Okay, cool.
Oh, okay, we're alive. We fixed the ship. Get to the door world.
And then it crashed. You know, to be fair though, I've done that in Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that, where you'll just get in the car, get going, and as soon as you get up to speed, then you T-bone another car going through an intersection and fly through. It's funny when it happens. So this isn't something that's just an issue with this game. I mean, that's just kind of user error right there. It just seems kind of ridiculous. And a lot of people who have played this game say that's kind of indicative of the speeder, where it's just kind of difficult to handle. Even people trying to defend the game are saying like, well, yeah, the speeder is kind of garbage. And that's really the biggest problem with this game, or at least from what I've seen, is it just looks like it's a game that's stuck 20 years ago. Maybe they've kind of improved the graphics a little bit, but this doesn't look like a major AAA release in the year 2024. It looks like something that we would have seen come out in 2004 as far as mechanics and all that other stuff goes, just with a fresh coat of paint. And they're expecting to charge a premium for this, which is not a good sign for this, because I think they're really pushing this because Ubisoft has had trouble financially in recent years, and they spent a lot of money on this game. We don't know what the actual budget for it is, but it's probably around the $200 million mark, and it's gotten so bad where even the CEO of Ubisoft is trying to boast it like, oh, we've spent more on marketing this game than any other game has ever spent marketing it, which is saying quite a bit, which just goes to show that they need this game to succeed, especially when you look at their stock value. It's been having trouble in recent years, in the last couple of months particularly, where they're not meeting their projections. And this is a game that's set to come out, and it's supposed to be their next big release for the quarter. Then they're following that, their next big release that they have announced is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and there's a lot of issues with that one. So if this one actually fails to meet expectations, and especially if it's not profitable, then that's not a good sign for them. As right now, we just got news a couple days ago about how Bungie had to lay off a bunch of people because of how bad they're doing. And Ubisoft already had to lay off a bunch of people, and which is kind of strange for a company like this to be laying off staff in the lead up to two major releases. But apparently they don't have the money to actually keep them around. They're trying to use the money they saved by laying off employees by going to their shareholders like, oh, look, we're only down a little bit of money as opposed to a lot. But it's like, yeah, it's just a little bit because you had to get rid of a lot of employees, and it's looking like that's not going to help you. Will Star Wars Outlaws actually be successful? I don't think it's going to be necessarily like hugely successful. Maybe it's going to be sell enough for them to make back their money or something like that. But even then, I'm not entirely sure, because we've seen a lot of major releases just tank in recent years, because gamers aren't just going to consume anything just because these major studios are putting it out, or just because it has a Star Wars name, because asking people to spend $70 on a game is quite a tall order. And I think you're going to have to really excite them in order to try to get people to want to play your game and want to spend their hard-earned money on it. And with the reaction that we've seen for this game, it's looking like that's probably not going to be the case for them. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. What do you think is the main issue with Star Wars Outlaws? And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And if you don't mind, click that like button and share the video out there, because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.